Hi guys, I am really excited about this video because as a lot of you know, Viltrox has become a major player in the lens market. Look at this 13mm f1.4 for APS-C, this 75mm f1.2 for APS-C. These are two of the best lenses to ever come out for APS-C cameras, and that is not hyperbole. And they have now released a 16mm f1.8 for full frame, 16mm f1.8. This is the lens that Sony should have made, and I am sure they are going to be jealous that they made this lens, and they made this lens at $549. We got to talk about it. So I have been hoping that Sony would come out with a wide-angle bright lens for quite a while now. Like, I have this little ZV-E1 that you're looking at. On the dynamic active stabilization, it looks super smooth, but it crops in a lot. So I have had to use my 16-35 f4, but that's an f4, and I'm a sucker for that background separation. f1.8 right here. I was thinking about getting the 16-35 G Master, but that's a 2.8, and I'd have to sell a kidney. This $549, 16mm f1.8, and it's not just good for close-up video work and vlogging your gorgeous face. This thing is fantastic for landscapes, for architecture, for astrophotography, because you got a 1.8 and a 16mm lens. I am extremely happy that this is in the world. Can you tell? In fact, let me take you out right now with the little ZV-E1 and show you the lens in action because I had so much fun with it. Okay, guys, would you look at this? Dynamic stabilization on the ZV-E1. So now I get that fantastic gimbal-like footage without a gimbal, and I still have plenty of space behind me there. It's not just so close right up here on my pores. Not that you'd be complaining about that, but it's still nice to see some of the background and have that lovely smooth motion. See, this is what I wanted from Sony, a 1.8 16mm to use with my lovely ZV-E1. Makes me want to vlog all day, you know, even though it's Canada and it's October, it's freezing out, and I forgot to bring a jacket, but still, it's for you people. I hope you appreciate it. And this is actually another day I am wearing a jacket because I am being much more sensible. Just having a nice walk here in the park, having a good time, except for the people looking at me like I'm a weirdo. Why, you haven't seen a man in his mid-40s vlogging to his own camera in a kid's park? Well, I have kids and they're here somewhere. Just not exactly sure right now. I'm sure their mother is with them. But isn't this fun? Huh? Get this nice wide angle lens. I love it. It's also nice to be warm. Now, the lens weighs 550 grams, so it is not the smallest, lightest lens in the world, but it is not a giant, heavy lens either. So it is smaller than my 16-35 f4 that I've been using at 16mm. And 550 grams is very close to its actual price of $549, basically $1 per gram, and it is certainly worth it. Let's talk about the build quality of this magnificent lens. It is mostly a metal build, which I love from Viltrox. It makes it feel premium. It makes it look premium. I like the metal lens feel and look. It also has a weather sealing gasket on the back for dust and moisture resistance, and you will also see on the back it has a USB-C port, so that's great for updating your lens. USB-C port. Let's talk more about their features here, like the aperture ring, which can be clicked and declicked. I love an aperture ring on a lens, and the fact that you can click it or not click it. You want for video work, you want it smooth, there you go. For photos, you want the clicky. Oh, I love that clicky. It also has a switch for autofocus to manual focus. It also has a function button, not just one, two, an FN1 and an FN2 button that you can assign to different things. And last but not least, it has a little LCD screen that will tell you if you're in autofocus or manual focus, and it will also tell you the distance that you are focusing. And when you are shooting in low light, which this lens can do, like astrophotography, it is nice to have that little LCD right there so you can see what you're doing. A very cool little addition. It has a 77mm filter thread, so in some wide angle lenses you can't just put a filter right on the front because they're too bulbous. Not this guy. You can stick your filter right on front there, which is great for me because you know I love a blurry background, so out in the sunshine, put on my little filter, then I got my blur in the background, and the minimum focus distance is 27 centimeters, so not a super close minimum focus distance, but you're often not trying to do that with wide angle lens. It's always nice to have a closer minimum focusing distance so you could get more, unique shots with it. The aperture ring is tactile, feels great, and the focus ring is also very, very smooth, and it feels really good to turn that focus ring. Now let's talk about the optics of this bad boy. Chromatic aberration is very well controlled. You have to really have a high contrast scene and zoom in, really pixel peep to see any chromatic aberration. And in terms of longitudinal chromatic aberration, same thing. It is at 1.8, it is present, but you can barely see it. Extremely well controlled of the loci. Focus breathing is very minimal, which is fantastic. If you're trying to do focus pulls in video, then you won't see much focus breathing. And also with this lens, which a lot of people will be using for landscapes, a lot of people like to do stacking in their photos for landscape, focus stacking from very close to infinity, and you can do that then much easier with this lens because you don't have to correct your photos for the focus breathing because it is very minimal. The lens has a nice coating on it, so flaring and ghosting are well controlled. However, you will see some flaring if you have a very bright light going directly into the center of the lens, so make sure you keep your lens hood on in situations like that. Sharpness. The lens is tack sharp in the center and still very sharp in the corner, even at 1.8. So basically corner to corner sharpness, and you also won't see any of that barrel distortion there. Even with corrections off, there's barely any barrel distortion. With corrections on, you won't see any vignetting or any barrel distortion. Just a really excellent lens to use for things like architecture and landscapes. Absolutely love it. Focusing is very reliable and very accurate, not quite as snappy as something like a G Master lens. So if you're trying to shoot very fast action, sports, things like that, then this lens may not be for you, but I don't know who's doing that with a 16mm lens. So the focusing system works great. It is just not lightning fast like some of the more expensive Sony lenses. I really like the autofocus backgrounds with the lens, and the bokeh balls themselves nice and round, and they're very pleasing. They don't have a lot of cat's eyeing in the corner. Now, if you do zoom in, you will see a little bit of onion ringing. They're not perfectly smooth bokeh balls, but they are definitely good looking and very acceptable at this price point. So I am absolutely in love with this lens, and I will be switching out my 16-35 f4 for this guy when I'm trying to take my wide angle shots or I'm vlogging my gorgeous face. It's just Viltrox, I don't know who's in charge of making lenses over there, but you are doing a bang up job. Keep doing it. It pushes everybody. It makes the Sigmas, the Tamrons, and the Sonys, it makes them have to up their game too. I want to see what Sony does. How are you going to counter this, Sony? How are you going to do it? I will review it. If you have that happening, just send it to me and I will definitely review it. I will put it up against this lens. Good luck to you, my friends, because this is a fantastic lens and you are fantastic for watching this video until the end. We'll talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.